Welcome to the Green Wisdom Health Podcast with Dr. Stephen and Janet Lewis, where you will learn about natural solutions to common ailments. And now, here are your hosts, Dr. Stephen and Janet Lewis.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Green Wisdom Health Show. I'm Janet Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Lewis.
And today, well, actually, Happy New Year to everyone. We hope you guys had a wonderful holiday. And that kind of gave us our next subject to talk about, since people had such a wonderful holiday, about ending heartburn and GERD the natural way. So, we ate a lot of things that we probably should not have eaten. And then there's just a lot of people that have heartburn and GERD anyway. Plus, we have some questions that Dr. Lewis is going to answer at the end of the show. That some of this one particular question has been asked a lot of times from a lot of different people recently. So we want to go over some of that again. And we want to talk about, I guess Dr. Lewis is going to tell us about acid reflux and heartburn and things that make you not want to lie down at night because you get indigestion. So, Dr. Lewis, would you like to explain why we have that, what we can do about it, some things you could take? What do you want them to know?
I'm going to go down the rabbit hole. First of all, thank you for your Christmas cards. It really means a lot to me, and I love it. I've got one here. It says, he signed it, Alan from Maine. I just love Alan.
Yeah, Alan's a good guy.
Alan's smart enough to take our advice and continue to do it for years and years and years. And he's the one that listened to us about the Kinloch pecan oil, and he really, really liked the pecan oil. Well, Janet's always sending me off on adventures, and she found a, Harvest Host, where we went to an olive farm in Texas. And the reason I want to talk about oil is because it does have something to do with acid reflux, because if you do the right ones, they're anti-inflammatory. And people have asked me for years, well, how do you know it's a good oil? And I said, olive oil is one of the most counterfeited oils there is. So Janet says, well, let's go to this olive farm. It's like, well, I didn't know they grew olives in Texas. So we go and we talked to the guy. I said, well, how do you know it's real or not? He says, in the grocery store, you don't. So if those of you that want some real honest to God, now this is small batch stuff, okay?
Well, he was a chef at over a bunch of Hilton
or Hyatt or something,
resorts,
all
right,
over the dadgum world.
Right, so he knows oils,
yeah,
and he knew what he wanted in it, what he wanted it to taste like, and that's why he started growing olives.
And the freeze last year got most of the olive trees, so they cut them down, and they're growing back from the roots. I think he's got about 1,200 trees, and it's kind of in its infancy, and that's why I say it's small batch. But this guy, if you want to know more about olive oil, it's called Dell's Favorite. So go to dellsfavorite.com.
That Dell, D-E-L-L?
D-E-L-L-S, favorite.com.
Yeah, I think he has some recipes on there as well. He gave us a sample of it, and I was getting ready to, which is weird. It was in the morning time, and he gives you a little cup of olive oil, and it never crosses my mind until I take a sip of it, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is what I use in my gallbladder flushes that I used to do when I had a bad gallbladder.
It was good oil, but brought back some bad memories.
And Dr. Lewis looked at my face, and he was like, oh, Lord, I'm going to have to drink yours too, aren't I? Like, yeah, you really are.
It was good. It was smooth. It was light. So, Alan, if you like that.
It works.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Yeah, he's even got recipes to put on, like spices and things, and on top of pork chops. It was pretty interesting.
And again, because of the infancy of the farm, it is small batch stuff until it continues to grow. So if you want real olive oil, at least you can buy a bottle of it and compare the taste to the ones in the grocery store that's cut with canola, which I think canola is poison, but dellsfavorite.com, check it out. The phone number is 512-229-8443.
In Elgin, Texas, E-L-G-I-N.
Yeah.
I know. Anyway, well, so what does oil have to do with heartburn and GERD?
Well, because one of the things with heartburn and GERD is we have a very horrible diet in America. I read something the other day, it says 85% of us are overweight or obese. 85%. And you wonder why that is, because food what's considered normal now is not what was considered normal when I was, a kid, or 2 or 3 years ago when I was a kid. And there's a lot that we can teach you. And another thing, we don't have good digestive enzymes, and that's because we're so polluted with heavy metals and phthalates and petrochemical things. We really are that toxic. So you've got to eliminate most of the things that you're allergic to. It's either wheat and dairy or dairy and wheat. There's a lot of other things, but those are the top two. Some people can take the digestive enzymes and do real good, or probiotics, and we'll get into that in a little while. I mean, my favorite, I think Janet gives me 3 different types of digestive things when we eat.
Well, I wanted you to talk about that a little bit. He's got, Dr. Lewis has got a product over there in his hand called Digestive Essentials. And, I think people have been told they have too much stomach acid from their doctor is usually the way this goes. And they get heartburn, they can't, they have a burning and pain in their chest, and it's worse when they lie down. They get an unpleasant taste in their mouth or difficulty swallowing. So the doctor tells them that they've got too much acid. And that's why they're doing that.
And most people have low chloride on their lab, which means you don't have enough chloride to make hydrochloric acid. The symptoms of low acid and high acid are the same. Here's some Stephenism wisdom. Be careful when you follow the masses, because sometimes the M is silent.
Well, yeah. Interesting. I was going to give you a percentage about how many Americans actually have low levels of stomach acid.
You go right ahead. I'll be the smart aleck following the masses with the M silent. Took her a while to figure that one out.
It's actually 30% of Americans suffer from low levels of stomach acid.
And I think that statistic's way too low. Now, you should do something about it, because you don't want to continually have that come up, even if it's low acid, because then you scar the esophagus, and then you can create Barrett's esophagus, which has a tendency to go more toward cancer. And when people have these symptoms, I say, well, go to your MD and, get the scope down there and make sure it's not an esophageal issue that they need to treat medically, or a stomach issue, or pancreatic cancer, or things like that. So, always do the medical route too, but there's in my opinion, a smarter route to kind of shortcut the issue.
Well, and you talked about betaine hydrochloride. It's an acid form of betaine used in the gastric phase to help bring your stomach to a more acid pH. And studies have shown the ability to secrete gastric acid decreases with age. Common symptoms of low gastric acidity include bloating, belching, burning, and flatulence immediately after meals, and a sense of fullness after eating. Indigestion, diarrhea, or constipation, multiple food allergies, and nausea after taking supplements.
Well, and they're usually bad supplements too. But now we learn things in a way that I won't tell you all of it, but we have to put it together. So they taught us the 4 F's: female, fat, flatulent, and something else.
That's not politically correct anymore. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's 52 genders too. I forget what the 4th F is, but those are the ones that almost always have their gallbladder out, which is an indicator of
female, fat, 40, and flatulent.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
4 F's. So, if you have that, let's fix it before it gets to be a bigger issue.
So, really, you need hydrochloric acid to help break things down, right?
Yeah, and you need chloride to do that, which is half of sodium chloride is salt. Now, I prefer the Himalayan because it's cute, it's pink, and it's got a better mineral profile. But don't be afraid of salt. Salt does not raise your blood pressure unless there's a potassium, magnesium, or calcium deficiency. So it's not. You got to look at it a little bit less simply.
And some people say they can't take hydrochloric acid because it causes their stomach to burn. That's actually one of the things you have to work up to be able to tolerate it.
Right.
Because if you are bloated and belching and things are burning, you need hydrochloric acid. And then people say they can't take the supplements or it makes them nauseated. Again, if you've got a good one and it's still doing that, that's because you don't have enough hydrochloric acid to break it down.
Right. Or, a rancid fish oil will increase that, and then you take a good fish oil, which we talked about with Casey the other day. It should not do that. If it does, then you still have a pancreatic insufficiency. It's not putting out the lipase, which digests fat. And we like Casey. Casey's going to come back, and, then I had Brian from Indiana say, man, I really like Casey. I said, well, thanks, because I love Brian, because he's up there just doing the right thing. He doesn't call me much, but you can if you want to. And this Digestive Essentials is not just straight betaine hydrochloric acid. It's also pepsin, desiccated ox bile, bromelain, papain, and the pancreatin. Remember I mentioned the pancreas, which we stress the heck out of our pancreas because we eat too much sugar and carbs. So the pancreas is going ballistic and you wear it out, and that's why we get pre-diabetic and diabetic. The pancreatin has protease, which digests protein, amylase, and lipase being the fat dissolving one, and that's why, because the fat gets clogged up in your liver / gallbladder, is why you have gallstones and go in to have your gallbladder out.
Yeah, and speaking of gallbladder type issues or the burning or bloating and feeling horrible, the digestive enzymes we talked about, the digestive essentials, they are to take with your meals, like a couple of them every time, so that you can process what you're eating. But when people have that bad and they hurt, they want something very quick acting, which is why we came up with a product called Digest Ease. And it's mastic gum is one of the big things in it that actually tastes not so great at first, but then you kind of get used to it.
Tastes like you sucked the chrome off a bumper.
Yeah, but people that have this problem actually crave it. It's really weird. It's like they think it tastes wonderful. It kind of tastes like licorice root, I guess.
Well, it has DGL in it, deglycyrrhizinated licorice.
Oh, well, maybe that's why. But a few of the main benefits of mastic gum is that they contain antioxidants. It's an anti-inflammatory. It has antibacterial properties and antifungal properties. It helps digestion.
H. pylori, it has a tendency to decrease that drastically.
I was fixing to say it can help kill H. pylori bacteria.
Oh, that's why I told Janet this morning, I said, I like it because you've got notes that I don't know anything of, so pardon me for getting ahead of the curve here.
Well, yours is all in your little head and comes out at will, and mine's a more OCD designed note.
OCD is putting things back into place, which I don't do.
But we have people that come in here and buy 4 bottles of the Digesties at a time because they hurt so bad, and we're like, you might want to go to the doctor if it's that bad and you're not getting better from it. But
you want to blend medical care with healing naturally, taking care of the things that you've done incorrectly. So you need both. But
we have them available as samples also, that if you guys order online or whatever, just put a note to Brandy, say you'd like to try a few of the Digesties, and she'll send you a few of them in a little baggie. You just suck on them and see if they help make everything feel a little bit better. They're fast acting. And
we'll do samples of the betaine hydrochloric acid, which Brandy just sent some to 3 different people. One of them was Tawny. Tawny was vacationing down in Galveston. She's from Tennessee. And Tawny says, well, there was a storm, and we stopped in Henderson, Texas, which was close to Longview. She said, I told my husband, we're close to Dr. Lewis. I said, well, our address at home is Henderson. I said, we were within hugging distance. And speaking of hugs, because mental health and physical health sometimes has to do with the human touch, there's something that you should always remember is one day somebody's going to hug you so tight that all the broken pieces will stick back together. So Adrienne was just here, and I hugged her twice, and I said, Janice, you need to come get one of her hugs. And she's doing so much better. So let's get back to the human interaction. It's very important.
Yeah, and then the other thing I wanted to mention is how if you do not take care of heartburn and GERD, that it can increase your risk of esophageal cancer and esophagitis. And there's also a correlation between GERD and irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS. And the one product I think is really important for this that we have been we've had really, really good results with is something we've had called SBI Spore. And they're kind of a balance of our SBI Protect powder, which is the immunoglobulins, and the spores, and that's a spore-based broad-spectrum probiotic designed to promote a healthy gut.
But these are immunoglobulin, bovine-derived, and it has a tendency to seal the leaky gut, which is created from, for the most part, zonulin and then pathogenic bacteria. I'll try not to get too technical, but
all I know is we have one lady that is missing part of her colon, that she's had part of her colon cut out. This has been the only product that she could really, really tell when she did not take it that she hurt. And she said, man, I've done 3 of these in the morning, and sometimes I'll do 3 of them in the evening. It's like, well, you're not going to overdose on it. And it's really, really good. So it helps heal the problem.
And sometimes it can be so many different things that cause this. It can be just like a B complex due to the food processing. It can be antibiotics, birth control pills, refined sugar. I mentioned sugar and refined carbs, or high glycemic carbs. And acids actually increase the problem. Drugs, smoking, heavy metal toxicity. I tell people, don't line up for nasty stuff put in your body. If you're a welder, for goodness sake, have a fan on where you're not breathing that stuff in. But what that can do, it leads to a buildup of homocysteine, which puts your heart in peril. And like a B complex, can lead to intestinal inflammation, and everything's linked to the gut. I tried to talk Sonia into take the multi, and I weaved it in to the lab, and she says, the thing I don't want to take the most. And I said, that's the first place you should start, is the multi. It covers a multitude of sins in our diet that we may not even know about. Mm-hmm. I love her. She's been doing her stuff 8 years, and holy cow, she says, well, I'm 110% better. I said, well, let's go for 120.
Now, and I'm going to get back to this. We've got one more other product we want to talk about, but I want to make sure we've addressed some of these questions here that we've had over the holiday. The big one was, is there a new protocol for this flu-type virus that's going around again, part 5 or whatever it is. Anyway, people said, "What
flavor of the day?" Like Baskin and Robbins, 31 flavors.
Yeah, there's some on. And what do you take for it? People are fearful. I get they're fearful. We're actually going to have one of our favorite preachers come back in again and speak on some subjects that Dr. Lewis and he talked about yesterday. We keep being bombarded with it. We're tired. People
are so full of fear, and I promise you, your fear and stress is just as bad as anything else that could go in physically. We've got to learn to be healthy. We've got to learn to be happy, but it starts in your mind and your spirit.
Well, and we've had a beat down, for the last year and a half or so, so it's very easy to get caught in fear. I get that. But the questions were, and I got them from a lot of people, what's the protocol for this one? The protocol is the same protocol as it was for all the other ones prior to that. This one is actually a whole lot less severe. We've had patients walk in here with it full blown. So far, we've been doing great and not got any of these.
I've heard alcohol kills certain viruses too. And actually, that's research.
And so, Dr. Lewis, I wanted you to kind of go through some of the different products that we have and what we recommend, because you might have forgotten, or you might have a few, or we kind of change them up because it seems like if you stay on one all the time, your body kind of gets used to it, and it doesn't have the effect it needs to.
You increase your body's ability to adapt if you change things a little bit. That's why I can eat a Snickers and ice cream, but I don't do it every day. And Janet says, yeah, that's BS. I said, bacon sandwich? Yeah, sign me up.
Okay. So the things we take, or I take every day, are what we call our Health Max 35, I think is what it is now. It's our colloidal silver.
And they're not all the same.
No.
There's research behind this one.
Yeah, they're right. This one does not kill your probiotics, which
you need.
Most all of them do kill your probiotics. the person that makes this does not know why it does not kill your probiotics, but it does not. He's got paperwork behind all of it.
Yeah, and he sent me 3 independently done university studies, and they all said, well, it doesn't kill your good bacteria like the rest of the colloidal silver, but we don't know why either.
So I drink a couple of capfuls a day of that. We've also put it in a nasal spray bottle and use it as a nose spray because, that is, when they're swabbing for these things, that's what they're swabbing.
And our RV repair guy said he put some of that in a nasal lavage, and he said, oh, my God, I felt great. He took one other product. He said, I felt great the next day. And this is after weeks and weeks and weeks of taking other things that didn't work, and his sinuses he says, they're killing me, man. And I said, we could do the same thing with your diabetes. He said, no, but I get my metformin for $1.82 for 90 days worth. I said, well, you can get arsenic and cyanide for $1.82 also, and he just laughed.
So that has been a mainstay because that will actually, that silver will actually trickle down your throat and kill the viruses that are going down the throat that start the rest of the process.
Up in your nasal cavities. Think, folks.
Okay. The other things that we do, lauricidin. They're monolaurin coconut pellets. You do not chew them. They are antiviral, antibacterial properties. We do, when it's an acute thing and you feel it coming on, is our Vira Pro.
Oh, that's some good kick butt stuff.
And there is a loading phase on that where you do, is it 2 every 3 hours, I think it is, for the first day?
Yeah, and that's what our RV guy says. Oh, my God, I can't believe how good I felt. He said by the next day I felt almost 100% better. And Janet was talking about lauricidin, the monolaurin. Well, that's why Grandma's chicken soup worked, because in the old chickens that weren't commercially raised, there was high amounts of lauric acid. Pathogenic bacteria, yeast, and fungus do not like lauric acid, and this is higher amounts of it.
Yeah. Always the zinc. You've heard the zinc stuff. I actually had somebody that got sick, but they never lost their sense of taste or smell, which is one of the first things to go with this is that. And she was like, I never lost that. I said, were you on the zinc? Yep. So that's why I stay with it. What else do we give for that, Dr. Lewis? Trying to think what else we have on hand that people are taking for the... immune essentials. If they've got respiratory issues, quercetin bromelain.
The quercetin actually lowers gut leakiness.
Yeah, you guys have been awesome staying on quercetin bromelain to the fact of the tune I've run out of it, but I've got it coming back in. Y'all have been really good about staying on that.
And quercetin is what they call an ionophore, which helps zinc get into the cell, and the higher zinc to a point, the better your immune system response is.
And then the one that the FDA is looking at trying to get rid of, which is NAC, N-acetylcysteine. That's because it thins mucus and helps people expel it out of their lungs. And
it helps create glutathione, which is the master antioxidant. And guess who's most susceptible to this nasty booger bear thing going down? It's older people and people that are more overweight because they have lower amounts of glutathione. Think, people.
And they'll tell you NAC is bad. We need to have that pulled. But guess who uses it in the hospitals?
Oh, yeah. Well, if you go in with a acetaminophen or Tylenol overdose, they use NAC to detox because it will help the liver make glutathione and clean the liver out. And NAC, N-acetylcysteine, has been used safely for 57, 58 years and has never killed anybody. So why would they think about pulling it? Because it might make you healthy. Folks, you're going to have to get involved if you want to keep your right to make good choices and healthcare choices, because people say trust the science, and I go immediately to BS. Coercion is not science. Withholding data is not science. Manipulating data is not science. And I've talked about these different ways. Cherry-picking studies is not science. Social conditioning is not science. Fear-mongering is not science. And censorship is not science. So, folks, don't trust the so-called science. I'm trying to teach you to think for yourselves, because God did give us a spirit of discernment, and we have to get back to the physical But the best place to go is your mental and your spiritual. That is so important in being healthy, and that's why in what I just said, fear mongering. If somebody gets you in fear, it's not from God anyway. That's in 2 Timothy, if I remember right.
Oh, it's out on my horse on the picture that I have staring at me. I have a huge horse that's running in the office on a picture, and it says, "God did not give you a spirit of fear."
And she's called me a jackass more than once. Is that the same?
This is a stallion.
oh, then not me. Okay. And you've got to think about what you're eating is not necessarily correct, because dairy and wheat is the two biggest things that can mess up your GI tract, meaning lower your immune system. Sugar lowers your immune system. I've talked about that study out of Johns Hopkins, and I've talked about cancer is a fungus. There's a book written by Dr. Simoncini, and how sugar feeds yeast and becomes fungus, But if you just quit wheat or any gluten and milk, 90% of your problems will go away.
Which brings me to the other product we have, our ProBio 100. First off, I want to say a couple of things. Y'all are calling and saying, what happened to ProBio Complete? What happened to ProBio Lean? What happened to those products were that they went up $15 to $20 a bottle recently, and we were not willing to pass that on to you. The other thing that happened with that was that when people would get them at their house, they theoretically said they needed to be cold, even though that wasn't for best shelf life. It was they needed to stay cold. They were still fine not, but a lot of people were getting them not cold. They didn't like that. So we went to 2 products that were shelf stable that were not raised financially, and they were still a very good buy that way.
The changes are because we're saving you $5 or $10 a bottle, but we will never sacrifice on quality.
Right. And
most people understand that. Thank you for those that are understanding.
And because of these supply chain issues, we don't get a heads up that says, oh, hey, in like a month, you're not going to get that anymore, so we can go out and broadcast it. It just happens. It's like, no, that's not coming. No, now it's $15 or $20 more, so we have to make quick decisions on trying to keep something in here to help you guys.
Which increases Janet and Brandy's stress level. And
that's why I take so much stuff.
I've had a lot of chemistry. Alcohol is a solution. I'm just teasing.
We are at 2 probiotics now. One's a ProBio 20 for like everyday general health, gut health. But we have another one called ProBio 100, which is a high-dose probiotic that delivers 100 billion active cultures.
I think really and truly it's a lot more than that, but that's what they'll guarantee.
Right, and when you're talking about GERD or heartburn, you really need to consider doing the high amount of probiotic, because a high-dose probiotic can influence GI health and immunity in ways that lower-dose probiotics cannot. It's shown to activate over 1,700 genes involved in immune and inflammatory signaling.
I was going to stay out of the research, but
I'm getting in it.
I can't,
because I'm all about it. High-dose probiotics improve immune function. They maintain a healthy gut immune barrier and maintain normal inflammatory balance. Dr. Lewis and I personally take the ProBio 100. Dr. Lewis don't know he does, but I hand it to him every night. He just swallows whatever I give him.
Absolutely. She's nice to me. And here's another little tidbit of research. And there was this thing, and I read it. It said putting probiotics in our foods can cut out on infections in children attending daycare centers. That's from British Medical Journal. Oral probiotics may normalize intestinal permeability and alter gut microecology, improving the intestine's immunological barrier. Immunological, folks, immune system, and decrease the intestinal inflammatory response. And that's from Journal of Annals of Nutritional Metabolism and several others. Folks, there's things that you can do to boost your immune system. Your immune system didn't come from some man-made chemical, although they can be great short-term. You've got to protect yourself. You've got to be like Alan from Maine or Brian from Indiana. Just do this years and years and years and years, and you're big winners.
Yeah, you need the high amount of probiotic if you take a lot of medications, you drink excessive alcohol.
What's excessive?
I don't know, but I'm just saying if you do more alcohol than, if you're having the big glass and not the little bitty tiny one, you might consider doing more probiotics, or you have poor dietary intake, meaning you do not eat well all day long, you need the higher dose of probiotic.
I've always said it's acceptable to sip wine during dinner, but when Janet's mother comes down, I guzzle the heck out of it.
When my mother comes down, you can see him running out in front of the house, going through a door I've never seen him go before, in front of the windows. I'm thinking, he's run away. He has left home. But he came back, so that was good. And we have come to the end of our show again. And Dr. Lewis, if you could please leave us with some closing words, because I know you have some.
Yeah, we take our job very seriously, even though I'm a real smart aleck. That's not going to change any. But literally, Janet and I always pray that God protects our patients physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and in every other way. You'll get the blessings if you speak it, and if you put it into your body and then speak out health, speak out life, speak out blessings, you can actually have that.
Right, and if you don't know what we're talking about, go to our website at greenwisdomhealth.com. You can see there that we do very low-cost lab work and tell you exactly what you need for supplements so that you're not guessing or taking half of our entire store. Get started today. Do your lab. It's available across the United States. We hope you have a wonderful week. We'll be here next time on the Green Wisdom Health Show.
Once again, our show has come to an end, but your hope in your health is only beginning. If you or a loved one are in need of a different outcome and are waiting for a brighter future, take the first step and go to our website and fill out the health survey. Please don't keep us a secret. If you know someone that could benefit from this podcast, please share this show with your friends and family. You're only one step away from a life worth living.